Welcome to Voice Rising with Kara Johnstad. Enjoy weekly conversations with leading luminaries, pioneering visionaries, singers, poets, musicians, and sound healers as we explore the profound role our voice plays on the path to self-realization and global enlightenment. The internationally acclaimed singer, composer, author, healer, recording artist, voice expert, creator of Voice Your Essence, and founder of the School of Voice, Kara Johnstad uses her extraordinary spiritual gifts to empower others. Everything in this world vibrates. Everything has a frequency. A pioneer in the field of voice work and transformational songwriting. Her breakthrough methods are helping thousands of people worldwide fine-tune their body-mind-spirit system and unlock the energetic frequencies of limitless creativity, health, and abundance. Share your voice, ask your questions, join in the conversation. Receive life-changing, positive transformation and rise together to create a sound world. And here's your host, Kara Johnstad.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Voice Rising. Today we have a truly inspirational guest with us. Today is Radhika, and she has a voice that is resonant and it's full of devotion and love and vibrational healing. She is a beacon of transformative power whose music mirrors the soul and is a harmonious, I guess it's a harmonious mix of her rich Indian, East African, and British heritage. Radhika's music is not just a listening experience, it's a journey from the head straight to the heart, offering us a chance to delve deep into the realms of the self and the universe through sound. And so sit back, have a tea or something nice and warm or lovely to drink, and listen in to Radhika's wisdom. She's also a sound coach, and she has a new release that we're going to be playing on the show entitled Kali. So welcome, Radhika, to Voice Rising.
Thank you so much, Kara. It's such a pleasure to be here with you.
It's beautiful. And first of all, congratulations on the new single. And I'd love to start there because I think, you have so many fans around the world, but then there are always listeners that might not know your magical mix, I guess, your fusion, the beauty of what you're doing. So what inspired you to release this new single, Kali, and what does it represent for you at this time?
So Kali was a culmination of the last few years. For me personally, this energy came into my life at a very transformative period. Mm-hmm. And it was almost a precursor to what happened with the world in the last 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. She is an incredibly powerful force, and it felt like the right time to record and release a song of this nature, because at this time, I think the world is realizing that many of our veils are being lifted. Mm-hmm. The realities within, the realities of the external are being mirrored, and that's what Kali is. But Kali's energy brings to the surface these aspects of life that have been a veil, and she brings them forth in, if we're open to receiving in a graceful way, and sometimes if we need that little bit of a push, she can bring them forward in a way that's necessary. But behind all of that is this incredible unconditional love. And I think that that's something that I wanted to offer people as a support and an anchor, that, no matter what is happening, the winds may blow and it may seem like chaos, but behind it, the intention of transformation is really to lead us back to ourselves. Transformation is nothing but actually becoming who we're really meant to be. And that's what Kali is. She brings you back to the true essence of nature of who we are meant to be, without abandon, without any limitation. And I thought it's time to share that.
Well, I think that's exactly what the world needs, for all of us to to come back to our true essence and to realize that it is about unconditional love. And I think she also stands for renewal, right? So this idea that through this chaos or destruction, we're going to come into a place actually of beauty and creativity and and strength, right? And as you said, unconditional love. Let's listen. I normally talk a little bit more, but today I'd like to start the show and just really listen into this first track. You just released it. I believe it was released in August. Is that true?
Yes, the end of August.
And the end of August. So it's fresh. It's fresh. And here we go. Let's listen to Socali from Radhika Vekaria.
Kali Kali Mahamaya, Kali Kali Mahamaya, Bhavani Shankariyo, Bhavani Shankariyo, Bhavani Shankariyo, Bhavani Shankariyo, Devi Devi Girija, Har Har, Devi Devi Girija, Devi Devi Girija, Har Har, Devi Devi Girija. Kali Kali Mahamaya, Kali Kali Mahamaya, Bhavani Shankariyo, Bhavani Shankariyo, Bhavani Shankariyo, Bhavani Shankariyo, Devi Devi Girija, Har Har, Devi Devi Girija, Devi Devi Girija, Har Har, Devi Devi Girija.
You're listening to Kali. That is a new release from Radhika Vekaria, who's with me today in studio. Radhika, you had written, and I'm going to quote you here, that the journey that led to Kali was one of introspection and evolution, music for you as a form of transcendence, and that through this song, you wrote that you hope that we are inspired to embrace change and perceive time as a tool for transformation, establishing our own self-sovereignty and attaining freedom. So to talk about this, what it means to you, sovereignty and to attain freedom, to be liberated, to feel free.
Well, connected to the concept of time, Cara, time is an incredible trap for most of us.
Mm-hmm.
We live on this, in a perception that the things in the past the things in the past we regret and things in the future we worry about. We're not free in our thoughts and our actions. And so we can transform through the passage of time, but it's important not to be trapped by it.
Powerful.
And not to identify with those moments, because we're ever changing, and that's what Kali is. It's this ever-changing transformation to keep creating anew. Like every moment is anew. And self-sovereignty, at least for me in my experience and how I have come to realize it, is, we cannot be the kings or queens of anybody else's domain. We cannot live life in accordance with how anybody else lives it. And we cannot allow others to come into our kingdom and sit on our throne. And so the things that we have been bestowed with, the challenges that we have, the facets that we are gifted with to experience are ours and ours alone. So self-sovereignty is sitting on the throne of your own kingdom and realizing what is your domain. Where is it that you are going to shine your sun, right? The sun in Eastern systems is considered the king of the throne. So self-sovereignty is really that realization of what is under my domain and how can I shine a light best on that domain and make that flourish and protect it at the same time. And within that, when we are doing that and cultivating that, that is complete freedom for us.
Yeah, and perhaps to embrace also all of our uniqueness and diversity, and same time the unity conscious, which is weaving itself beyond time, probably. I mean, I think this is a wonderful thing to think about, also transcending, well, not even transcending time, but this idea that you say, what is time? Because so many of us are not only caught in the, what did you say, in the regrets of yesterday and the worries of tomorrow, but we're also caught in this idea that is linear, that we start somewhere and that we need to, we need to release so many albums, or we need to have a certain way that our life unfolds. But from my own experience, my own life, it's been more like a river. And until I embraced that it was a zigzag, that suddenly I, did an album, I don't know, that didn't, maybe it was leaning more towards jazz, and suddenly there was mantras, and suddenly there was this and that, and suddenly you meet these cultures that influence your music in a different way. If we can realize that it's a beautiful journey that is zigzagging from point A to, I don't know, through all these different colors, then we can very much relax into who we are, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and you come from a beautiful, diverse background. How has it influenced your musical style? I have it here from my notes: Indian, East African, and British. And now you're sitting in New York City, so obviously you love to travel the world. How have all these different cultures, how do you see that all these threads are weaving themselves together?
Kara, I don't think about it too much, because it just is. It just is. And I think there's a beauty in just allowing things to be what they are.
Yeah.
And just not letting the mind get in the way, too much analysis. But I do, when I sing, it's interesting. I've had even a few people recently say to me, even when you do things that may seem like they are from an Indian practice, it seems to sound very Persian.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, I believe that when you approach music or any form of artful expression, well, all art is expression, when you're being honest and sincere, I truly believe that your voice is not just your voice, it's the voice of all of your ancestors.
Yes.
So what's coming through is all of my ancestors.
Yes.
And sometimes I may sound a little more Persian. Sometimes there may be a tone that sounds more African. Maybe something that sounds more Indian. And I guess that's how it weaves in. But it's something that is not conscious for me, because I've learned in my life that the less I think, the better it is. The less
to surrender, right? You surrender that inside the music. Very, very beautiful. I also you also, I know you're also a sound coach, and yet we are curious. On your, I believe it. I don't know if it's in your press release or if it's on your homepage, but they share that you were on a journey, that as a child you had a speech impediment, and that did you heal that then through singing? Was it like stuttering, or was it that you were able to come into deep flow through singing then and through music?
Yes, so it's very interesting that a lot of stutterers are able to sing. It's interesting.
Yeah.
And I could always almost hide behind my singing voice, because when you sing, you don't stutter.
Yeah.
But I always had a challenge. But I had so many other things to say. I had so many other things that I wanted to offer, even outside of music. And I wasn't able to do that with any confidence. And obviously, going through having a speech impediment as a child, you have a lot of experiences, having an issue like that, how you interact with the world. So, it hits your confidence. And so as an adult, I was always hesitant, apprehensive to publicly speak this way. If you'd have told me a few years ago that I would be sitting on a radio show, speaking on a phone, I would probably have not believed you. But mantra music in particular helped me come out of the safe space of singing. Singing was always a safe space for me. And practicing mantra and singing music of this nature, it literally rewires your nervous system. Yeah. It helps you get to this space of what is it that is really resonant with your soul. And when you're speaking from your soul, all of the challenges of the mind and the issues that come about because of this neurological stagnation, they actually begin to dissolve away. And that's why I'm a big advocate of mantra music or music that is steeped in ancient practices, because they get you back to your essential nature. And when you are operating from your essential nature, all of the fabrications in our mind tend to dissolve away. And a lot of the anxieties and things that trigger our nervous system into a sympathetic state seem to pull back, and you can actually flow a little more. And that's what it's done for me. And that's why I'm able to sit here and have a conversation with you right now.
Beautiful. So the turning point was only a couple of years ago when you started doing mantras, or was it a little bit longer?
It was about 7 years ago. In about 2015, Beautiful. I went to Encinitas and I had an experience. Many things happened at the same time, and it just shifted for me immediately then.
I think
I decided then.
Yeah, I think that people they realize, or they can really start to embrace the idea that the voice is our guide and our protector. And if our voice doesn't feel safe, it's very hard for her or it to open and to connect. And that safety is one of the most important things that when we're starting to open this beautiful vibrational tool that we have that's running through our body, right? This essence of sound. And at least I know from my work too, when I help people in the beginning just to come into these quiet places and connect with breath and connect with tone, and they fall in love again with their sound, the voice unveils itself, like you were saying. It starts unfolding naturally, and it's always very beautiful. When we come back to this relaxed state of being, the voice will come to us. Exactly. Yeah, I love this. So is this what you're working a lot when you work with your clients as a sound coach? Is it mostly with like the sound healing instruments that we know, maybe harmonium or singing, Tibetan singing bowls or mantras, or how can we imagine that? How can we imagine coming to you if we feel stuck or maybe a little bit shy, broken, non-confident? We had a hard childhood, and then we come and take a session with you. What does that look like?
Well, I'd like to try and, it's a very good question. I think that we take for granted our voice like we take for granted our breath. We don't realize that it's a live, living thing, and it needs to be nurtured and appreciated. First of all, we take for granted so many aspects of our physical being. So I like to get acquainted with it first. And, as he was saying, it's important to love it before. If you love your voice, if you begin to get acquainted with your voice, then and only then can we ask the world to be acquainted with it. For us to receive it first. I receive my voice. When I sing and listen back to my voice, I've gotten to the point where I see it as an entirely separate thing to me.
Yeah.
Because what it does is it's bringing through something when my mind gets out the way. And oftentimes we're just not in that state. And so what I like to do first is help people go through some exercises to get the mind out the way first. But we have so many judgments on our voice because the world judges us on the way we look and the way we sound.
Yeah.
So much we are shaped by the criticism of the world, by the judgment of the world. So it's important to open your arms and embrace your voice first and allow it to feel safe. And so that's the first thing. And then, I'll take the student or the client through breathing exercises, getting into the tone first. Everybody wants to sound like, whenever you have a person come to you who wants to sing or wants to speak, they have this idea that they want to sound like a person that they admire. And the first thing I love to encourage people to say is, it's wonderful you're inspired by other people, but their voice is not your voice.
Yeah.
Your voice is not their voice. So let's put that to the side. We don't want you to sound like Tony Robbins. We don't want you to sound like, Cara. We don't even want you to sound like me. I want you to sound like you because you are unique. And so it begins to get them into that state of, oh, okay, it's much more than sound coaching. It's really self-coaching, and the sound is just an expression of self. And then I'll use maybe some Indian singing techniques and bring some rag practices in and bring some, scalic practices in. And that really is quite meditative, and it is brilliant for tone, breath, stamina, all these things. It's like training your voice again, just like people go to the gym. It's like that for your voice. There's so many different aspects to this expression. So it's much more than sound. It's multifaceted. And that's how I like to work with people. And there's no one template for how I work with people because everyone is unique. And so the approach is very bespoke for people. I don't have a handbook or a methodology that I use that is the same for everybody. You have to meet people where they are. And I like that. I like meeting you where you are. It's a pleasure to meet people, and it's a pleasure to meet people's voice. That's what it is for me, personally.
It's a pleasure and quite the honor, I think, to have people come and open up their hearts and share with us it's very intimate, share with us their voice. And I always say to people too, it is a biofeedback. It's something we should get to know because we're talking often during the day, and when we enjoy our voice and when we like our voice and when we become friends with our voice, that voice is feeding back into our own body system, into our own ears, right? And letting us know. Every singer knows this too. We can hear if we're tired. We can hear if we need to drink more water. We can hear if we ate a heavy meal and maybe need to do a concert. So the more we tune in, our voice is giving us so much information all the time. And the more we fall in love with it, it's like, wow, such a good dear friend that is there with us all 24/7, right? It's
so true. And it isn't just about expressing your voice. but the more you get acquainted with it and the more you open it up and the more you get to your natural tone, your natural tone will cause a resonant vibration back into your body.
Yeah.
So it isn't just when you're making the sound. It's not just the approach to making the sound, but it's the aftermath of making the sound feeds back into your body, and it enlivens your body in a wholly different way.
Yes.
And so the sounds that we make really does change our state of consciousness. It has a profound effect on how we move in the world and even what comes back to us in the world on an energetic level. The sounds that we make, it's emitting a certain vibration, a certain frequency. So the more you train your voice, you'll actually begin to see your life will change.
Yeah.
It's quite incredible.
I love saying you can shift harm to harmony, right? You have the key to the alchemy. And we always know as singers too, it's beautiful, a tone and at one. They are the same letters, you just shift them a little bit. And whenever we come into that full embodied tone, we feel very much at one with ourselves, but also connected to the universe and everything that's around us. So, my beautiful Radhika, we are about to pause for a brief word from our sponsors who help us to bring these enlightening conversations. So everybody out there, don't go anywhere. We're going to be back with Radhika and talk more about sound and also her beautiful music that she's released. And we're going to play some more after the break.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free, ascendinghearts.com.
With happy clients all over the world, Kara Johnstad knows that your voice is the missing link to more authenticity, abundance, creativity, and health. An internationally acclaimed voice expert, Kara's breakthrough methods have helped thousands of people successfully heal their voice wounds and extinguish the story of self-doubt and shyness forever. Join in group trainings, attend online sessions, schedule one-on-one time, and invite Kara to work with your organization and community. Get started today. Go to www.karajohnstad.com and receive a special guided meditation designed to fine-tune your inner voice and welcome you on the voice journey.
This is Kathy Beal, host of Celestial Compass, featuring astrology you can use. Celestial Compass points you to what's going on in the sky and what you can do with it down here on Earth. We also explore fun, effective, and cosmic tools for navigating this adventure we call life. Join me the first and third Monday of the month at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for Celestial Compass. It's enlightening, entertaining, and empowering.
Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
You came across someone struggling with hunger. How would you recognize them? Would you notice an 8-year-old girl who's not excited for summer break
because she may not be having lunch again until September?
Or a war veteran who's having a hard time landing
a job and getting back on his feet?
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org, brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
We are back. Thank you for tuning into Voice Rising and making this space a sanctuary of sound and wisdom. And if you are finding value in today's show, we invite you to leave a comment and hit that subscribe button on your favorite streaming platform. And also go and follow Radhika Vekaria's beautiful work out there. She has a lovely homepage and stream her music. And now let's continue with this conversation about sound and mantra and voice rising. Welcome back, Radhika, to the show.
Thank you, Cara. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm going to sense maybe where you want to go. I have so many beautiful questions here. You obviously are performing all over the place. I see that you did in Europe. You were starring in Germany's India, right? So I'm sitting in Germany right now. And you also have shared stages with legends like Rihanna and Sir Paul McCartney. What have these experiences taught you? Like, for example, standing on the same stage, I don't know if you were singing with him or just sharing the stage with all these amazing voices that are also sharing their essence with the world. What is it like to travel and to share your music? I mean, it probably is beautiful, and it's also maybe a little bit tiring at times. And so what is that like for you?
Yeah, well, thank you. Well, just to clarify, the Rihanna and Paul McCartney was that my voice was featured next to theirs in a Jeff Koons exhibition, so I wasn't on stage with them. Just to be clear.
Okay, good.
But that was such an honor because Jeff asked me he included my Mangala mantra next to their voices. It was like really amazing. Yeah, it was really great. But, I think that at that time I wasn't really doing mantra music, but just music in general. I think singing has always been home for me. And it's, I was always encouraged to just share the voice. I was never one of those kids that was told to keep quiet in the home. And it breaks my heart when I hear, that people grow up being told not to sing and not to play an instrument. I think that does a lot of, it sets people back in a big way. So for me, I was very fortunate. And, traveling is definitely tiring for singing, I won't lie. And so that's why, you have to be very focused and very disciplined. I think that's the part that people don't, necessarily see. They see the photos and they see the news and they think, oh, that's great, you've done all these things. But they don't see that actually, you have to go to bed early. You have to get a lot of sleep. You have to hydrate a lot. You have to not talk in loud environments. You have to, all of that side, the not very glamorous side. But, it's your instrument and you have to take care of an instrument well in order for it to feel like you gave it your best. I think you would always regret not being able to give your best if you didn't treat it with respect. And, the opportunity to perform live is, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it, Cara. It's just as much for you as it is for the audience. Yes. It's this beautiful, as you talked about biofeedback, it is a conversation that happens even when you're singing. The listener is still making a sound. I think this is what a lot of people don't realize. When you are singing, people are emoting. Yeah. And there are so many thoughts that go through people's minds when you're performing. And thoughts make a sound. Like just as you're, if I don't know if you've ever found yourself sitting next to somebody who's in complete silence, but you still feel an altered, you feel altered in your state, even if they're in complete silence, because their thoughts and emotions are emitting a sound. Thoughts make noise that your internal system can pick up on. So when you're singing, you are still hearing the music of people's minds, the thoughts in people's minds, and there's a symphony that gets created, a beautiful sound, vibration, collective music that's made, not just the one that you think you're making. Conversation that's dancing together. And that is unique every single time. You cannot replicate it. You may even do the same show 5 nights in a row. The conversation is entirely different. And that's what's beautiful. Yeah, that's what's beautiful about
and everyone's tuning in to each other. I did discover something so blissfully beautiful a few years back, is that the ears themselves are emitting tones all the time, which I had never we always think that the ears are very receptive, which they are, but they're also really, 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 really tiny little tones are coming out of the ears, and they now test this with babies so they can tell if they're deaf or not way before it used to be when they were starting to learn language. If a child developed, late or later than average, they would think, oh, maybe we have to test the hearing, but now they can do this after day one because the ears are emitting these frequencies, which I think is so mind-blowing. So you're right, it's like the emotions have frequencies, the thoughts have frequencies, and then kind of like the conductor, the music, the singer, we all start breathing together. And then, as you so poetically said, a new symphonic work is created collectively in that room. And the more we tune into each other, I was always blown away as a singer myself that, artists have these the canvases that they paint on, and they're either in a room or they're hanging in a museum. But when a singer's singing, she's literally painting on the inside the bodies, right? On the 80% water waves. I mean, we're painting inside the bodies, like the tones are going in the ears and going down behind the belly buttons or into the hearts, and people walk out with your voice, and they walk out with that collective symphonic piece that you were just talking about, and they remember it. They walk home with it. And I mean, you can't walk home with every painting that you'd like to walk home with from the gallery, but it is magical. It's not only about buying the CD. When you go live, you take that into your cells and your bones and your marrow and your fascia, and you are different after a good concert. It's shaped you.
Because it's an impression. It's an impression on your internal system. I don't think we as human beings realize how much we vibrate.
Yeah.
How much our bones, like the bones in our body, respond to vibration. Yeah. And I love that you talked about painting.
Yeah. Like I think this is...
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just was going to say, this has always fascinated me that, like every art form is incredible. But of course, I'm biased because I'm a singer. And I've always been fascinated, like this, I mean, for just that, like a lot of painters, of course, too. I mean, they're painting, but you're not watching them paint. You're not watching them always normally create. And then their works are in the, hanging in a beautiful gallery or museum, and people are absorbing this beauty, but you're not, it's not the same intimacy, I would say, as when you're watching a singer breathe, move, her feet, the rhythm of the body. And what blows me away even more, but you can, speak to this too, is like if I say, imagine all the people, and it doesn't matter if I'm in a Tokyo hotel or if I'm in an LA gas station, people can sing it. They hear only one bar of a song that they know that has been collectively, like you said, collectively performed live somewhere. I mean, and it doesn't, we are the world, we are, whatever it is, it could be a classical aria or whatever. And they can all join in, and they all feel as, like this is one humanity. And it just blows me away. You couldn't do that with a piece of sculpture. I mean, even though we have pieces, the Mona Lisa everybody knows, but it's different. It's really, it's very magical. Music is very magical. Or we sing pieces of the pentatonic scale, and people can complete it because it's so in our bones. It is just so in our bones. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think what you're touching on is this innate need to be part of something bigger than ourselves.
Yeah.
Human beings, it doesn't serve us to just be focused on ourselves. We see what happens, right?
Yeah.
But when we become part of something larger, when we give ourselves and we contribute to it, therefore we belong to it and it belongs to us. So when we're seeing a singer or a musician create a sound in front of you, you are part of that creation.
Mm-hmm.
You are part of this, the sum of the what's it the saying? The sum of the two is greater than the parts, or something. It's greater than the pieces that were put in, and we feel expansion in that experience. That to me, that's what I recognize. That people love being part of musical experiences because what is created is far bigger than our own tiny little existences, and that's just that's an imaginative place to be, and it is a place that is full of potential, because if you can experience that, you can create that.
Mm-hmm.
And imagine, that's what we want to feel as human beings. When we come away from an experience, we want to feel inspired. We want to feel like, oh, I have the potential to create something larger than this moment,
Yeah, yeah.
And that, I think that's it's part of who we are, and it's encouraging. Music is encouraging. I very rarely meet somebody who comes away from a musical experience and goes, oh, I wasn't, I feel contracted. You always meet people who go, oh my God, I feel, lighter and alive, and then the next day they feel motivated and they feel, it's hopeful. Because what's incredible about music, and Cara, I always feel this way, I don't know about you, but whenever I go to a studio, I'm still amazed years later. And I always say to the producer in this very innocent moment, and I say, wow, we started with nothing. There was literally nothing, and now there is something.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always blown away by that. And I think it's a reminder of, from nothing can always be something. From the emptiness, there will always be space for something to be created. Even in our lives, when we're feeling like there's emptiness, actually from that place is where creation comes.
From void to voice, right?
Yeah.
And inside the word vocation is also the voice, the calling out. I think we are often. I have many talks with people like this too. Also, this striving towards the enlightenment or light, and although we do feel lighter, like you were saying, but there's something very magical about understanding this emptiness, emptying, unveiling, rooting into the vast dark earth and sky, and understanding that divine feminine, that womb energy. And sometimes we're just all running towards the flashy lights. Even in the city, it's really hard to find a place where there are no lights that are, our phone is binging and dinging and, but yeah. Radhika, I want to have our listeners listening to Om Namo Bhagavate. Do you have anything you'd like to share about this track before we listen in?
Oh, thank you. Yes. It's really an honoring to Vasudeva, who is the father of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And so this piece, this mantra is very, very, very old. And really, when you're listening to it, allow yourself to feel the vibrations, and just it's the idea of giving yourself to something bigger.
Yeah. Beautiful. Let's listen.
Oh
Bhagavati. We are here, with Radhika. There you are, Radhika. We're coming on. The time just is flying with you. I just feel we can go so deep into the voice and vibration. What's on the horizon for you? I know you just did release Kali, so that's kind of new. But do you have any upcoming projects or collaborations that you're excited about in the moment?
Yeah, thank you for asking. Yeah, and I just wanted to say that all this music so far has been produced by George Landers, incredible producer. And you just heard Shashankacharya on flute, who is incredible Bansuri flute player.
Yeah.
And on Kali is Pratik Srivastava, who's playing the sarod, featuring with the sarod. And so I was very fortunate to play with these incredible musicians and create this music. And yes, Kali is from an upcoming album, actually. And the album's interesting. It's an evolution of my previous album called Sapta, the Seven Ways, which was predominantly in Sanskrit. And this next album is going to be a mix of English and Awadhi, Sanskrit, and Tamil as well. So
nice.
It's exploration of different dialects and different Indian languages. And so that project will be out over the next year. So Kali is the first single from that. And I'm creating some other mantra-inspired music, and then I have some other projects where it's mainly in English, but it's all pulling in Eastern philosophy into the lyrics and expressions. Everything I do is about bringing the ancient into the future.
Beautiful. Beautiful. If there's one message you'd like to leave our listeners with today, what would that be?
That your only job on this planet is to live from your true essence.
I love that. I love that because I had before I had the School of Voice, I had Voice Your Essence, and you touched my heart because it was all about just bringing people back to exactly that, the essence. It's the pure, innocent, lovely, wonderful, vibrant, expansive, and sweet place.
And it's essential. Literally, it's essential that you do that. Right?
Yeah, and with the voice too. I mean, it just blows me away that the voice, just like our fingerprint, even though we have all this automated voices and AI voices and everything else, but these little vocal folds that are the length of a nickel or a dime or whatever, they are such a unique frequencies and tones that every single voice, just like a snowflake, every single voice is different. Like if the police was trying to catch you and they heard only like one little sentence, they could figure out the DNA or whatever. It's just mind-blowing. It sounds like a chatter in a restaurant, but it's actually something so personal. It's just, it's very special. So it's beautiful that you're doing this work, such a gift for humanity. I thank you for sharing your insights about voice and sound and music, and I wish you much success with Kali and the upcoming album. And once the album is finished, feel free to give me a little ring and we can do another show featuring these songs. And another thank you to those listeners out there. You are the heartbeat of this show, so leave us some lovely reviews. And the next show, I'm going to have Nancy Aroni on, and she's going to be talking about her latest book, Memoir as Medicine, The Healing Power of Writing Your Messy, Imperfect, Unruly, but Gorgeously Yours life story, and how writing can help us find our true, authentic voice, which is the same as living that essence. So thank you. And Radhika, once again, thank you for being on the show, and many blessings. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Cara. Bye.